Buckle up, everyone, because today we're going to be diving deep into some intense family drama.
Oh, yeah.
The story of Jacob and Esau.
In the book of Genesis.
You guys might remember them.
Yeah.
Their relationship, let's just say it was complicated.
I was really complicated.
It goes way back.
Yeah.
Decades of rivalry.
Decades.
Bad blood between these brothers.
Yeah, it's serious stuff.
Imagine stealing something incredibly valuable from your sibling.
Yeah.
Something that determines their entire future.
Like their inheritance or something.
Exactly. That's essentially what Jacob did to Esau
Wow.
when he tricked him out of his birthright.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
Talk about holding a grudge.
Right.
So Jacob's been living in fear of Esau's revenge for years now.
Yeah.
And in chapter 33, they're finally going to come face to face.
It's the moment of truth.
So let me ask you, if you were Jacob, knowing your brother was coming with 400 men,
400 men.
how would you prepare for that reunion?
That's a great question, and that's what's so fascinating about this chapter.
Jacob is terrified.
Yeah.
And the text really paints a picture of how meticulously he plans everything.
Really?
He arranges his family,
Okay.
his possessions, almost like he's setting up a strategic defense.
So he's expecting the worst.
He's definitely not expecting a welcome wagon.
Right. But then we get this crazy twist.
A huge twist.
Esau doesn't attack.
No.
He runs to meet Jacob.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful moment that completely defies our expectations.
Yeah?
Instead of anger and vengeance, we see Esau embracing Jacob.
Wow.
And they're both overcome with emotion.
Makes you wonder.
Right.
Was holding on to all that anger and resentment for all those years
All those years.
really worth it for Esau?
It makes you think.
It really does. It challenges us to think about how we deal with our own grudges. You know,
Sure.
I know I've held on to anger longer than I should have sometimes.
We've all been there.
Yeah. But let's not forget Jacob's role in all of this.
Right.
He comes bearing extravagant gifts for Esau.
Oh.
A huge herd of animals.
Huh.
It's like he's trying to buy his way back into Esau's good graces.
Gift giving back then wasn't just about being polite.
Okay.
It had a much deeper meaning.
Interesting.
It was like making a grand gesture of apology,
Oh,
acknowledging the wrong you committed.
I see.
Jacob is basically trying to restore balance in their relationship through these extravagant gifts.
So how does Esau respond?
Initially, he refuses.
He does.
He says he has enough.
Oh, wow.
But Jacob insists, and eventually Esau accepts.
Okay.
It's a fascinating exchange that can be interpreted in different ways.
How so?
Was Esau being sincere?
Right.
Or was he just asserting his dominance?
That's a good question.
Hard to say for sure.
It makes me think about the last time I apologized to someone you know.
Yeah,
Did I offer a gift?
right.
Did it actually help smooth things over?
It's interesting to see how these ancient customs still resonate with us today.
Totally.
Mm.
But despite this seemingly warm reunion,
Yeah.
something doesn't feel quite right.
What do you mean?
Jacob decides not to travel with Esau.
Oh.
And he makes up this kind of flimsy excuse about his flocks and herds. What do you make of that?
It definitely raises questions about Jacob's true feelings.
Yeah.
Does he truly trust Esau?
Right.
Or is there still that lingering fear beneath the surface?
Like he's still not sure if he can fully let his guard down.
Exactly.
Or maybe their lives have just diverged so much that staying together would create more conflict.
It's a good point.
Like maybe deep down Jacob knows they're just not compatible anymore.
Right.
Yeah. Or perhaps he still senses danger, remembering Esau showed up with 400 men.
It's possible.
So what happens next? Does Jacob just abandon this whole reconciliation thing?
Not exactly. Instead of traveling together, Jacob decides to settle in Canaan,
Canaan.
the land promised to his ancestors.
Okay.
And here we see him taking some significant actions
Okay.
that might give us some insight into his state of mind.
You've given us sources about Jacob building a house and an altar. So what do you think this tells us about his mindset after this reunion with Esau?
It definitely marks a new chapter for Jacob.
Okay.
Building a house symbolizes establishing roots, creating stability after years of wandering.
After all that time on the run.
Exactly. And the altar is even more significant.
How so?
It suggests a desire for a fresh start,
Oh.
a chance to reconnect with God
Okay.
and seek his blessing as he embarks on this new phase of his life.
A new beginning.
Yeah.
So Jacob settles in Canaan. Sounds like he's really trying to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah.
Seeking some stability and a deeper connection with God. But even with this fresh start,
Uh-huh.
it seems like trouble is never too far behind.
Oh, yeah.
The text specifically mentions that he settles in Shechem, which is a bustling Canaanite city that doesn't sound like the most peaceful place for a fresh start.
You're right to be suspicious.
Yeah.
While it might seem like Jacob is searching for a peaceful existence,
Okay.
the fact that he settles in a Canaanite city adds another layer of complexity to his story. Remember, Jacob and his family are nomads.
Right.
They have a different culture, different beliefs.
Yeah.
So this interaction with the people of Shechem is bound to create some tension.
Especially considering Jacob's track record.
Oh, yeah.
This is the guy who tricked his own brother out of his birthright.
Exactly.
Do you think he could really stay out of trouble?
Well, the text hints at some potential conflict brewing right from the start.
Really?
It mentions the children of Hamor,
Okay.
who is Shechem's father,
All right.
which kind of foreshadows a confrontation that's going to unfold in the next chapter.
Uh-oh.
It involves Jacob's daughter Dinah
Okay.
and a young man named Shechem.
So this doesn't sound good. What happens? Does Jacob get caught up in some kind of power struggle with Hamor?
It's not exactly a power struggle,
Okay.
but a tragic incident that really highlights the cultural clashes and the consequences of unchecked actions.
I see.
Dinah, curious about the local culture,
Yeah.
goes out to see the daughters of the land.
Just to see what's going on.
Right.
But-
And that's when she encounters Shechem.
So what happens during this encounter? Was it just a friendly meeting that went wrong, or was it something more sinister?
Unfortunately, it takes a dark turn.
Oh, no.
Shechem takes advantage of Dinah
Wow.
and violates her.
That's all.
The text doesn't mince words about the severity of his actions.
Yeah.
This isn't a love story. It's a traumatic experience for Dinah.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine what she must have gone through. How does Jacob react to this? Does he try to protect his daughter?
It's actually Dinah's brothers who take center stage in this part of the story.
Okay.
They're enraged by what happened to their sister
Yeah.
and decide to take matters into their own hands.
Sounds like revenge is on their minds, but what can they possibly do? They're outnumbered and in a foreign land.
They come up with a cunning plan,
Okay.
using a cultural practice as leverage,
What's that?
circumcision.
Oh, wow.
They agree to intermarry with Shechem's people,
Okay.
but only on the condition that all the males undergo circumcision.
That's a risky move.
It-
They're basically using a sacred ritual as a bargaining chip. Do you think they genuinely intended to make peace with Shechem's people, or was this all part of a bigger plan?
It's a question that raises some serious moral dilemmas.
Yeah.
On one hand, they're driven by a fierce desire to protect their sister and seek justice.
Right.
But on the other hand, their actions involve deceit and ultimately lead to more violence.
I could see how this would put Jacob in a tough spot.
Yeah.
He just tried to reconcile with his own brother, and now his sons are stirring up trouble.
Right.
So what happens next? Does this plan actually work?
It works, but with tragic consequences.
Oh, no.
While the men of Shechem are recovering,
Okay.
two of Jacob's sons, Simeon and Levi, attack and kill all the males in the city.
Wow. That's a shocking escalation. It seems like violence just keeps begetting more violence.
Yeah.
How does Jacob react to this massacre?
He's horrified.
Yeah.
He condemns his sons' actions,
Okay.
not just for their brutality, but
Yeah.
because he fears the repercussions.
He's worried about what's going to happen next.
Exactly. He worries that the surrounding Canaanite tribes will retaliate and wipe out his whole family.
That makes sense. He
Yeah.
finally found a place to settle, and now his sons have put everything at risk. Does Jacob try to make amends with the Canaanites?
Instead of trying to negotiate, he receives a divine command.
From God.
Yes, to leave Shechem and travel to Bethel,
Faithful.
a place of spiritual significance for Jacob,
Oh, right.
a place where he's encountered God before.
So back to square one, running away from yet another conflict.
Not exactly. This journey to Bethel isn't about fleeing.
Okay.
It's about seeking refuge and guidance in the face of adversity.
Right. Remember we talked about Jacob building an altar when he first arrived in Canaan?
Yes.
This time when he reaches Bethel, he goes a step further.
He does.
He purifies his household, burying their foreign gods.
It's a powerful symbol.
It is. It sounds like he's drawing a line in the sand, reaffirming his commitment to his own faith and distancing himself from influences that might have led to the tragedy in Shechem. But it's interesting that his sons aren't mentioned in this purification ritual.
Right.
Do you think they're still harboring anger and resentment?
The text doesn't provide explicit answers about their feelings.
Okay.
But it's clear that this experience has shaken Jacob to his core.
Yeah.
It forces him to confront the consequences of his family's actions
Right.
and the cycle of violence that can erupt from unchecked anger.
It's a powerful reminder that even when we try to make a fresh start,
Yeah,
past can come back to haunt us.
absolutely.
And that sometimes the greatest challenge is finding peace within our own families.
And as we move into the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we'll see how Jacob grapples with these challenges
Ah,
and
okay.
what lessons we can take away from his journal.
We left off with Jacob and his family seeking refuge in Bethel.
Right after that tragic situation in Shechem.
It seems like every time they try to settle down and build a peaceful life,
Uh-huh.
something comes along to disrupt it.
You're right, their journey is full of twists and turns.
It really is.
But this return to Bethel isn't just about escaping danger. It's a significant moment of spiritual renewal for Jacob.
Oh, yeah. I remember this is the place where he had that dream of a ladder reaching up to heaven.
Exactly.
So this is a place that holds a lot of meaning for him.
A lot of meaning.
What does he do once he arrives at Bethel?
He builds another altar,
Another one.
just like he did when he first arrived in Canaan.
So he's making a statement.
He is, but this time it's more than just a symbol of gratitude.
Okay.
He's making a conscious effort to purify his household,
Okay.
getting rid of any foreign idols.
You mentioned idols.
Yeah,
Do you think he's trying to distance himself from the Canaanite culture
possibly.
that led to the conflict in Shechem?
It's certainly possible.
Because he's rejecting those influences.
Yeah, by removing these foreign influences, he's reaffirming his commitment
Right.
to the God of his ancestors.
The God who made that covenant with him years ago.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, this is who we are,
Right.
and this is what we believe.
He's drawing a clear line
Definitely.
between his family and the surrounding culture.
Yes, but what about his sons?
Right. They were the ones who instigated the violence in Shechem.
Yeah.
Are they on board with this spiritual cleansing?
It's hard to say. The text doesn't explicitly state their feelings,
Okay.
but it's clear that Jacob is deeply concerned about the path his family is on.
Yeah.
He's realizing that his actions and the actions of his sons
Have consequences.
have consequences.
It's a powerful lesson
It really is.
that even as we try to build a better future,
Mm-hmm.
we can't escape the impact of our past choices.
Absolutely. And it's something that resonates with us today.
It does. We all make mistakes.
We do.
And sometimes those mistakes have ripple effects that we can't control.
That's true.
But it's how we respond to those challenges that truly defines us.
I agree. So what happens to Jacob and his family after Bethel?
Do they finally find a place where they can settle down and live in peace?
Well, their journey is far from over.
Of course not.
They continue to face trials and tribulations,
Right.
but they also experience moments of great joy and blessing.
That's life, right?
It is the story of Jacob and his descendants. It's a reminder that life is a journey.
Full of ups and downs.
Full of ups and
and
downs.
twists and turns.
Exactly.
It's a story that's filled with drama,
Oh, yeah.
betrayal, reconciliation, and ultimately a lot of faith.
Definitely.
It makes you think about how you navigate your own life's challenges.
For sure.
Jacob's story teaches us about seeking forgiveness,
Yeah.
the complexities of family relationships,
And the power of relying on our faith to guide us.
through those difficult times.
Absolutely.
It's been an incredible deep dive into the life of Jacob.
It has been.
What's one key takeaway you hope our listeners will ponder?
Even amidst difficult circumstances
Yeah.
and strained relationships, there's always hope.
Hope for what?
Hope for reconciliation and a chance for a fresh start.
Even when we mess up.
Even when we mess up, Jacob's journey shows us that we can always turn back to our faith
Okay.
and seek guidance for a better path forward.
Beautifully said. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the book of Genesis.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights into the story of Jacob and his family,
Yes.
and that you'll continue to explore these ancient stories with us.
Until next time.
Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.